success in academic, career, and personal development. We're bringing this event to you with a desire to help you learn and develop your career in business analytics field. Take this chance to expand your network, get advice from experienced professionals from top companies in Bay Area. Now, I'm happy to introduce today's opening keynote speaker, Mr. Tim Watt. Mr. Tim Watt has enjoyed a 20-year career in executive management, business development, technology, and finance. He has turned around industry influencers, helped take company public, led diverse team, and plan an executive successful strategy. As an instructor at Cal State East Bay, he's committed to preparing his students for the real world while also challenging them to attain far more material success. Students concur that Mr. Watt's long experience in executive leadership drives his engagement in the classroom. Aside from teaching, Mr. Watt enjoyed an active career as a professional jazz pianist throughout Northern California. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Tim Watt.
Y'all can hear me in here?
Yeah.
Loud enough for you? Yeah, I thought so. Okay. I've taught in this room before. How you guys doing? All right? I recognize a few of you from some of my classes, so you know, you guys know why they have me do this, right? It's because I tell the wildest, most inappropriate jokes, completely politically incorrect, until they kick me out of this place. And that's why they asked me to address you guys. It doesn't get any funnier than that today. So just like a golf clap. All right. So, yeah, the reason I'm presuming that they have me keynote a panel on your career search is that I do have about a 25, 30-year career outside of teaching. I was executive vice president of technology of a company called Mortgage.com, part of the team we took it public. The director of technology for Reaper Graphics Trade Association that we turned around into the #1 influencer in the industry. Did biz dev for the 6th largest software publisher in the world. A lot of fun stuff when I'm not out playing jazz in the Bay Area. And that's really what I want to talk to you about. The aspect not of this being a big data conference, but this being a career panel. And that's really why you're here. You're fascinated about big data analysis, and once you graduate out of this joint, you want to get a job, right? So let's talk about that. Big data is about telling better stories, right? More predictive stories, more descriptive stories. A deep dive into the analysis of stories. Nobody goes to the emergency room with a broken arm for the doctor to say, that is the most amazing x-ray I've ever taken. Look at the contrast between the darks and the light, right? You want to get the sucker fixed. So one of the things you need to know throughout your career, whether it's in big data or not, is that people are hardwired to interpret reality through story, through narrative. That is how our brains are wired. We cannot help it. I can tell you everything in the world not to make a story, and your brains will make a story. I'll give you a brief example. Here's 2 sentences. They are unrelated sentences. All right? You get the drill? I'm going to give you 2 stories. They're completely unrelated. So here's the first of 2 unrelated sentences. Hey, has anybody seen Jim this morning? Second sentence. Well, I didn't want to say anything, but I saw a green Camaro parked outside of Carol's house this morning. Yeah, some of you have already started to make the connection there, right? You dirty minds, you. Why? Because I told you 3 times those sentences are unrelated. We don't know if Jim actually knows Carol, or even has a green Camaro, or even has a car. And yet your brain can't help it. Right? Your brain is forced. Actually, the neuroscience research shows it's hardwired to interpret reality through story. big data helps you and your organization tell a better story. Now, a larger example. Some friends of mine run a company used to be known as the Startup Genome Project in San Francisco. Bjorn Harriman, Max Marmer. Their deep dive into the big data of over 150,000 startups around the world yields at least this conclusion. We still have a 90% failure rate of startups in Silicon Valley, the most healthy startup ecosystem in the world. And the one reason they fail the most, they try to scale inconsistently or prematurely before they have found product market fit and a scalable business model. That's the #1 reason that startups fail. They try to scale before they have found the 2 things every startup needs: product market fit, scalable business model. Now that has yielded an enormous number of graduate classes and MBA programs across the nation, workshops, consulting opportunities, accelerators, incubators, etc., etc. But my point is, that is a great, deep story that is yielded by a deep dive into the data. And that's just one example of one of the reasons you all are sitting here today. Now we know that. But there's one more story, since they only gave me 20 minutes. There's one more story I want to talk about before we turn this over to the next stage in today's panel. And that is a more important story than even that story about startups, which is your career story, which is really why you're here. I trust that by the end of the day, you're going to learn countless things about the real world of working in big data analysis that you didn't know. Now that being said, how do you leverage that into the next hop in your career? And part of that is knowing ahead of time, what is an employer looking for? Because I've had the privilege of being in the position to make some hiring decisions on some folks. I've had in my career the unfortunate few occasions where I've had to sit with someone and have that uncomfortable conversation when we are going separate ways, if you know what I mean, right? I'm sorry, we're sort of looking for you to update your resume, which in my classroom is never a good phrase, right? Update your resume, you know what I'm talking about? So what's an employer looking for? Well, first of all, an employer ultimately is looking for someone who understands they bring value to the table in exchange for a host of benefits, including a paycheck, right? So the sooner you know the value you bring to the table, the better. Because if you don't know the value you bring to an employer, you're begging for a job. And I hate it when people beg. I feel awkward, difficult for me to make eye contact. I want to give them a Twix bar. So don't beg. Know your value. Know what you're exchanging, what you're offering to exchange, your skills, your experience, your insight, your smarts, in exchange for a paycheck. But that's just to get to square one. Here, if I'm hiring you, what I'm really looking for is the 2 things that I can't teach you. You give me a smart person, given enough time, I can pretty much teach you everything. Anything in the world, if you're smart enough, right? But that's the thing, I can't teach you if you're smart, and I can't teach integrity. I can't teach character. And as a business person, I know if I make the wrong hiring decision, over the next 3 years, it's going to cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars to get rid of you. Does this make sense? Most of the time, the reason for a bad hiring decision isn't that you lied on a resume, that you don't have the skills you said you did, that you don't understand Hadoop, that you don't know how to really analyze metadata. No. It comes down to character issues. Can I trust you with my data? Can I trust you to actually put in a 40 or 50 or 60-hour work week? Can I trust you not to be perusing cat videos at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Tuesday on Facebook? Are you trustable? You realize as a hiring person, that's my greatest fear. That all your references check out, you really do have the advanced skills. You really do know how to parse the data. But at the end of the day, you're hiding the fact that I can't really trust you. Think of it this way. In any organization, if any of you worked in an organization where you have high trust in your culture, people trust each other, any of you worked in a place like that? Yeah. It is a joy to go to work and things go faster and everything that gets accomplished costs less. You know what I'm talking about? Because people trust each other to do their job, trust each other to be competent, trust each other to work together. Anybody worked in a low trust environment where people didn't trust each other? People micromanage. You got to double and triple check the documentation. Your boss doesn't trust you. You don't trust your boss. And what happens? Productivity goes down. Cost goes commensurately up. Do you understand that this is the #1 problem in American business today? This is the one reason, the #1 reason why most organizations fail in the United States at some level of performance. Because of the problem of trust within the organization. They may not go belly up, but they won't win. And as a hiring person, the one thing I can't afford is to hire someone that I can't trust. It's also the one thing, paradoxically, I can't teach you. I can't teach character. I can't teach integrity. I can't teach you to make your bed in the morning and show up on time, put in a full day, take exactly 60 minutes or less for lunch, and to keep working till the end of the bell. And that's the one thing I'm looking for. Yeah, you got to have the skills. Yeah, you got to get along. You got to play with others well in the same sandbox. You ever work with someone who doesn't play well with others in the same sandbox? Yeah, that phrase comes from my kids. I have 2 boys. When my boys were really little, we'd take them to the public park, play in the sandbox with other kids, right? And here's the thing. In my neighborhood, nice neighborhood, but invariably there's this one kid who would go to the corner of the sandbox, drop his drawers, and pee in the corner. He didn't play well with others. Don't be that little dude. You have to be able to demonstrate that you have a track history of being trustable. And that starts now, quite frankly. How many of you have worked on a group project here in a class? How many of you like group projects here in these classes? You guys like them? Wow. Some of these guys are lying. I hate group projects. I graduated from this place. These guys, some of these guys are my ex-professors. Really. I hated group projects for the same reason most of you do if you're truthful. Because of that one friggin'... What?
Should I known about that before?
Because of that one friggin' guy. Right? That one friggin' guy. He doesn't return text messages. He doesn't communicate on email. He misses the meetings he said he was going to be at. He finally turns in his work late. It's not in English, and it's wrong. You have to redo it the day of the presentation, and he takes full credit. Right? That's why you hate group projects, because of that one friggin' guy. Do Do you realize why we keep assigning you group projects? It's not to frustrate you, because that's where your audition starts. You're generally not auditioning for me in the group. You're auditioning for your other group members. Because 3 years from now, one of your peers is going to be working at Google. And you're going to say, you know, I'm not working at Google, and I would love to work at Google. And I remember that, dude. I'll just hook up on LinkedIn. Hey, I'd like to get you in my network on LinkedIn. The LinkedIn ask, right? So innocuous email, innocuous email, innocuous email. Fourth one is, I need a job at Google. And then that guy remembers, you're that friggin' guy. Why on earth would I vouch for you to my employer when you don't have a work ethic, you're dishonest about how you spend your time, you jacked up our project, and I had to save the day? Right? Because who you want to be is when you finally send that LinkedIn ask, man, I was hoping you'd contact me. I love what you did on our project. I still remember it to this day. Hey, we got a role at my company. I think you'd be great for it. Can I give them your information? That's what you want, right? And what is that? That's the basis of two things. You got the chops to do the job. You have the technical skills. But more importantly, I can trust you. Does this make sense? It's two things. You're here for a couple of reasons. One, to learn some fascinating things about big data analysis and a career in that field that you don't know this morning. That's one. And two, to expand your network of trustable and trusted peers and colleagues for the sake of your future career. For the sake of you being able to demonstrate, no, you are not that friggin' guy. Far from it. You are the guy who has a track record of being able to pull off whatever they ask you, because you don't say yes unless you know you can do it, and you do it on time and under budget every time. Does this make sense? Highest compliment I ever got from a boss. That's at mortgage.com. The VP out here for all the Western states says, you know what, the thing I love about you, Watt, it doesn't matter what I give you, you just get it done and you don't complain. There's only one higher compliment in business. And that's a year after you present your analysis and your suggestions. The rest of the managers and vice presidents come back to say, you know what, Watt, you remember a year ago at the planning retreat? You were right. That's why you're here today. So drink lots of coffee, pay attention, no cat videos, put the phone away. Okay? Because these folks have good stuff to share with you. They've taken their time to come all the way out here to share some incredibly important, significant stuff that can change your career opportunities. I wish you the very best this morning. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Timwa, for an amazing keynote. Please give him one more round of applause. So now I would like to introduce you to Dr. Chongyi Gu. He's the advisor of our MSBA program, Cal State SBA Analytics Club, and also the co-director of MSBA program. Without his support, we couldn't have the event today. So give a hand to Dr. Chongyi Gu. Dr. Chongyi Gu will start our first panel with the topic job opportunity and career.
I think I'm not loud enough. I think most people know about that. Okay. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me. I want to say one thing before we start the panel discussion. It's teamwork. Okay, it's not that I start the program. It's we Dr. Zinovi Radovilsky over here. and he was the department chair when this program got started. Okay, he's the pioneer. And then Dr. Jimmy Wu over here, all of us work so closely to make it happen. And we're doing everything we can to make it better and better for the program and for everyone over here. Okay, so that's the one thing I want to point out. Okay, so let's start our panel over here. And for the first panel regarding job opportunities and career, and we have 3 panelists, and this is Mr. Venkata Putcha from Oracle. And this is and this is Mr. Vinki Loomba from Bank of America. And perfect timing, this is Miss Payel Chowdhury from Clorox. And one more thing I want to mention is that Payel, she's the newest member of our MSPA program advisory board member. Okay, so we had a board meeting a couple of weeks ago. She gave us a lot of very important and useful suggestions. And many of you guys know that we are going to have a conversion rate and new curriculum, everything, and the input from her and some other members is making our program and curriculum much better. Okay. All right, so without further ado, let's start with the discussion. And thank you all for sending the questions, and thank you, club team put together all the list of questions. I think I've got 12 questions, but I think we probably can talk about 5 or 6 of them. And question number 1, I'm sure all of you guys are in a position of having someone, right? And when you're reading a resume, what might impress you the most? Anyone want to start first? Yes.
So when I actually look at resumes from candidates, the first thing that I look at is what is that they are going to bring to the table. Like for the position that I am looking at, the requirement that for my job, whether the specifications that they have put in their resume matches with the skills that they have, and what experience do they have in order to be providing justice to the job opportunity that is being listed, and the effort that they have put. And once if I select that candidate in terms of bringing them for further discussions, I would look at their honesty, and I would look at what kind of experience that they have put in their resume, whether they can support it with the questions that I actually ask them during the interview process.
I would like to add, I would like to add a little bit on whatever he said. For me, resume is just like like your business card. And for me, when you're looking for a job, it's a job in itself. And if you did not put enough work, that shows your integrity, like the other professor, he mentioned, the trust or the connection that you're trying to make. Because if you did not put enough effort in your resume to present what you got, it means you are not the right candidate to begin with, right? It's not what you know. All the information is floating out there, on your fingertips. Everybody got the phone, right? Everybody got Mr. Google. So you know all the answers. It's not you know the answers, like how resourceful you are. And the more resourceful you are shows when you present yourself in a piece of paper. All the dates match, the statics. Like it should be like when somebody look at it, they don't throw it in the garbage. Like, okay, let me see what this person got.
Okay, I guess me. I do look for like it's good to customize your resume for the specific role, because things do vary role by role. If it's a business-facing role, even if you haven't had business exposure, you could talk about any leadership exposure or anything else that you've had. But because it's role specific, so read the role well, and make it in context of the role. Put your experiences such that it sinks in, because there are 10 things you do, but you want to stand out in that first one page, right? So that's, and the other thing, like at least in the data science world today, I think it's just so rapidly changing. You will have to keep evolving yourself, and your resume should show that you're evolving yourself. So what else are you doing beyond your curriculum in terms of learning more new things, technology, irrespective of where you come from. And if you are creative in presenting yourself in your resume, that creativity will come out. So have all the facts, that's very important. And then, you cannot fake it, so it's not that I did a Coursera course in addition to all of this, but it's your journey that comes out in the resume that's relevant from the role specifically. So customize your resume for the particular job that you're applying for.
Thank you very much. And the next question we're going to get technical, because I believe most of the students over here would like to pursue a career in data analytics or business analytics, right? And most people will be pursuing an entry-level job in this field, okay? And so what the program can do for the students, of course, offering some classes, teaching some technical skills, right? Python, R, stats, quantitative things. So many students are very curious, what are the top 5, hard skills that a employer are looking for the position, like in a starting level position in business analyst or data analyst? Anyone want to? Technical skills, top 5.
I probably will give, because my area of my working experience is not particularly in data analytics, but from what I have, with my experience, what I have learned, I can share it. So the thing is, like right now, I think the key things from technical point of view are, like, you need to have big data, you need to have R programming, and you need to have Hadoop, you need to know database management systems. With all these things, I believe, because there is so much of data out there, whatever we are looking right now, that companies, that it's like so huge, the data is so huge, we need to know mechanisms to use predictive variables to go and use ML or AI technologies to go and get something out of the data in order to help the business grow further. So that over the period of time, the person can learn about what needs to be, they need to do further in order to progress in their career. But the basic things are knowing about R and Python, all these things are minimum thing to start with. Once we are, I would rather say if the course offers some project work to take up some simple case and do some data mining kind of thing to understand how we can predict something that they can put on their resume and go and present themselves better and handle it.
We do have, our team is pretty technical, so we do work, in the core data science room, and I would say that machine learning is something I definitely look through in your resumes, and the breadth of it along with the depth of it, right? So it has to be both ways. The other piece is, of course, R and Python, cloud infrastructure and experience, because we are cloud-based as a team, is also something that, I look for in the resumes. And in general, you experience not only with structured data, if you have more unstructured data experience. We are looking into speech, images, but I would say text is more heavy. So those kind of technical skill sets.
Yeah, and I would add to it besides that, because by the time resumes come to me, the HR already done their work, So we look for some kind of soft skills too, like, how curious you are. Curiosity takes you to the next level beside your technical skills. If you're not curious about anything, you're gonna stay wherever you are. Because, your vision, your clarity, those are the things that are really important to me when somebody's talking to me. I want to understand where they're coming from. Because technical skills can be taught at the job, or you can bring those skills on the table, which is fine with me. And I want you to know how resources we are. It's very important. Data's out there. Can you pull the information for me what I need? So those are the kind of things that I look.
All right, really great. Summer students in my class already know that, we are converting the semester system, and then we're going to offer a long list of very good electives, including many things that our panelists have mentioned, like we're going to have data analytics with R, data analytics with SAS, we're going to have time series forecasting, we're also going to have what? Machine learning course, and on top of that, we're going to have, text mining course, and even a deep learning course, okay? So more from the perspective of business application, not like a computer science major, which go deeper on the developer side, okay? So I just want to keep you posted, and the reason we've done that because we got information input from our advisory board and people from the industry. So that's why we just push through some of those more or better electives to meet our students' needs. Okay. And another very important question that many students raise, yes, many people are looking for entry-level job, right? But look at the job description, minimum 2-year working experience required, right? So that's, students, including myself, we're wondering, okay, hey, I'm a fresh student, right? Just graduating from school. How am I supposed to meet this kind of 2-year working experience and relevant experience? So can you address that? So when you look at the rest, what counts, what doesn't count, right? So yeah.
I mean, if companies are looking for working experience, then they probably would take experience that comes through an internship or something like that. But typically, if they go for a university fresher, they probably will go to some universities which are there in the list of the companies, like probably they already are associated to certain universities. But then always try to look for opportunities like an intern or something like that, which would help to augur your learning experience, which can put well for a company, for a job. When they apply that, whatever you have learned through that can fit into the experience and can work out better.
Yeah, and I will add to it as well, because experience is something, it's not a showstopper, and then you shouldn't think like as a block for me, they say 2 years, I do not have that. So you have to see, do you like that something that you wanted to do, first of all? Is that something that interests you? Because, to me, going for an interview, looking for a job is more like a two-way process. So you might have heard the saying like, whatever you're seeking is seeking you. So that is relevant to the job as well. Because if you're trying to seek a job, the company is seeking as well the right candidate, so it's like a perfect match. So coming back to the experience, it's not a showstopper. You have